Hi and welcome back to another Tech Minds video. If you've ever wanted to and didn't know how to use the Raspberry Pi with ham radio, then this kit from Elektor is for you. Now the kit contains a full RTL-SDR kit, which includes an original RTL-SDR blog version 3 SDR receiver. Also included is a dipole antenna base, 2 sets of telescopic antennas, a 3-meter RG174 patch cable and a flexible tripod, along with a suction mount for attaching to things like car windows or even your shack window. Now the included SDR is renowned for its quality and features and is the go-to SDR for newcomers as well as veteran SDR users. Now also included in this kit is a paperback book covering many useful ham radio related projects that you can do with a Raspberry Pi. And not just ham radio, but also covering things like weather fax receiving and radio astronomy. Even if you're an experienced Raspberry Pi user, with over 25 chapters in this book, you'll be sure to find something that you've not tried before. Now remember, part of our hobby is experimenting and learning new things, and this kit definitely helps with that. The included book is also available as an ebook, so that you can take it with you and always have it on hand. Just remember, you do not get a Raspberry Pi in this kit, so keep an eye out online for those Raspberry Pi bargains. Now going through the chapters, Chapter 1 covers the different models of Raspberry Pi that are available at the time of printing. Now this covers up to the Raspberry Pi 4, but nearly all the projects contained in this book will work on any of the Pi models. Now Chapter 2 covers installing the operating system and then moves on to connectivity, how to set up your Pi on a local area network, or in other words, your home router. Chapter 3 takes a look at using the command line tool, as the Raspberry Pi can run in what we call headless mode, i.e. without a dashboard. Learning how to use the command line is important, as there will be special commands to install and set up applications, even if you have a dashboard. So it's perfect for newcomers to the Raspberry Pi. Now Chapter 4 covers the desktop, a bit like Windows or Mac OS, but it's the desktop for the Raspberry Pi. Now assuming you're using something like Raspbian or Buster, which is the latest Linux distro for the Raspberry Pi. Now Chapter 5 covers programming applications or IDEs as well as text editors, and Chapter 6 covers the GPIO. Now GPIO is what we call the 40 pins which are laid out in 2 rows on the Raspberry Pi's main circuit board. These are for connecting things like sensors, Pi hats, relays, and anything else that you can think of that will communicate in a digital fashion. Chapter 7 onwards starts to go into more details about the specific applications and features that we can expect to use with the Raspberry Pi, which are related to ham radio or general electronics. Well, some interesting projects include a Morse code exerciser to help you learn Morse code, a multimeter made from the Raspberry Pi, which also covers measuring resistance and capacitance. Funnily enough, I haven't actually tried that myself, so I'll give it a go. Now, did you know that the Raspberry Pi can also act as a transmitter, a low-power transmitter which uses one of the GPIO pins as its antenna connection? Now, I have a few videos on my channel which cover projects like this, like the RPI-TX or the Whisper Pi, which allows the user to connect an antenna directly to the Pi and transmit. Now, of course, things like bandpass filters are recommended to be used, but that's also covered in the book. Now, moving on up to Chapter 24, and this covers some useful applications that work in conjunction with the included RTL-SDR, such as the most popular Pi-compatible SDR applications like GQRX and Cubic SDR. Now, what's not listed, to my surprise, is SDR++, which in my opinion is the best SDR application for the Pi, but it's the user's choice at the end of the day. Now, a working example of how to receive and decode WeFax is also included, which should be possible with the included telescopic antenna if you place them in a horizontal V configuration. Again, there's another video on my channel about how to make an antenna specifically for receiving WeFax. Now, Chapter 25 covers some of the most popular and useful ham radio related applications for the Pi, such as gPredict, which is a satellite tracking application which can also be connected to a transceiver and control its frequency. It then goes on to cover applications like Direwolf, which is an application that emulates a TNC, or in other words, a packet radio modem. In fact, with just a Raspberry Pi and a transceiver, you can create your very own radio and internet-linked packet bulletin board and digipeater. Other applications like QSS-TV for decoding and transmitting SSTV, along with Chirp for programming radios. There's quite a lot of different applications to look at, but obviously we won't look at all of them in this video. Now, Chapter 25, Part 9 covers ham clock, which is a useful application for showing all sorts of ham radio related information, such as grey line, which is calculated from your location, along with solar activity to show predicted band conditions. In fact, let's connect up the Pi and install ham clock. Funnily enough, I've never actually tried this, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how it works. Now, to demonstrate how easy it is to set up, I've just got it connected with a keyboard, a mouse and a small monitor. Now, the included book details the exact commands you need to enter to be able to download, install and run ham clock. Now, these commands are entered into a terminal window that is running on the Pi. Now, remember I mentioned earlier about how the book covers using command lines on the terminal. Well, this is a prime example. So if you've never done this before, then this book has you covered. Now, following the steps in the book, downloading and installing ham clock is relatively easy. Remember, you do need an internet connection on your Pi to initially download the installation files. Now, once ham clock has been downloaded and installed, you can now run the application as shown in the book, and then configure it with your own call sign and your own location. You can enter lat long or just enter your Maidenhead grid square and it will calculate your lat long for you. Now, I know that some people have this as a permanent screen in their shack, as it can provide essential information to those of you that like to chase DX, especially around the grey line times. Now, another example in the book is installing one of many SDR software packages. Now, this is Cubic SDR that you can see running on the Pi. You notice on the left I have the RTL-SDR receiver plugged into one of the USB ports on the Pi. Now, incidentally, I'm using the Pi 3B Plus in this video example. And the RTL-SDR is connected to the included antenna, simply set up on the included tripod with the telescopic antennas pointing upwards. As the Pi is a single board computer and only requires 5 volts 2 amps to run, this can become a truly portable system. In fact, I have a video in production where I'll be using the Pi in my car while performing some rather cool tasks, so watch out for that video. Now, it's not just RTL-SDR that can be connected to the Pi. You could use other SDR devices like the HackRF, Adam Pluto or even the Lime SDR. Now, those specific SDRs have the ability to transmit, and with the right software, you could have all sorts of fun. Now, I'll leave a link in the description of where you can order this book and RTL-SDR combo from. If you're thinking about entering into the world of Pi for ham radio, then this is something I would recommend, purely for the fact that it covers the most basic of Pi steps to get you up and running. By the way, this isn't a sponsored video, so these are actually my thoughts. It's a really good book, and something I wish I had way back when. Now, before I go, I just wanted to mention about a new YouTube channel I've just launched that's called Matt's Gadgets. Now, as you can appreciate, I get sent lots of gear, which is not really ham radio related, and it's sometimes hard to fit those products into a video on this channel. So in the future, any tech-related gear that I receive, I'll cover on the Matt's Gadgets channel. Now, at the time of making this video, I have a couple of videos on there right now that you're welcome to check out. And of course, if you like my content style, then please consider giving it a sub. That would really help out. Lastly, if you've been using the Raspberry Pi with ham radio, then share with us what you've done with it in the comments below. Now, feel free to post links to your projects so that we can all get inspired by your work. I'm sure some of you guys have been pretty creative. Anyway, until the next video, stay safe, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.